she said. "I just went out with him for dinner. If you can't handle it, then let's break up." I smiled. "All right." Then I sold my car, moved my assets, and stopped answering her calls. A few days later, she was begging me to take her back, but I was on a yacht with a model. My name is Alex Carter, a simple, ordinary man living a life that's neither remarkable nor lacking. I work at a financial firm, a stable job I've held for the past 5 years. I'm not someone with grand ambitions or far-reaching dreams. All I've ever wanted is a complete life filled with small, quiet joys. And for a long time, I believed I already had everything I needed. I had a girlfriend, Emily, the woman I once thought was the perfect missing piece in my life. She was beautiful, intelligent, and always knew how to make me feel special. She was the only person who could make my heart race, and I invested so much time and love into building what I thought was a strong, lasting relationship with her. We had been together for 2 years, long enough for me to believe our relationship was heading toward a happy ending. But with just one sentence, spoken on a fateful evening, everything I believed began to crumble. "I had dinner with him," Emily said, her voice steady, almost confident. "If you can't accept that, then we should break up." Her words stunned me for a moment. Each syllable felt like a blade slicing into my chest. A part of me wanted to be angry, to demand an explanation. But I didn't. I stayed silent, holding all my emotions tightly inside. She stood there, waiting for a reaction. But I had none to give. I simply replied, "All right." I've never been someone who enjoys drama. I'm quiet, reserved, and rarely show much emotion. If you asked people about me, they'd say I'm an introvert who always keeps a calm demeanor. I'm not the type to put myself in the spotlight, nor do I seek attention. My job is steady, nothing exceptional, but I work hard. I don't need wealth or fame. In my personal life, I always believed love and stability were the most important things. Emily was everything I thought I needed to feel complete. We had a small home, not luxurious but more than enough. She made me believe in love, made me feel like I could conquer anything as long as I had her by my side. But now I see that the love I gave her wasn't appreciated. Emily was smart, charming, and incredibly captivating, but I gradually realized she had desires I could never fully satisfy. She wanted a better life, more than what I could provide. It was something I began to sense in the last few months. When we first started dating, we were perfectly in sync. We shared interests, laughed together, and nothing seemed capable of breaking us apart. But like many long-term relationships, things began to change over time. Emily slowly grew distant. She spent more time focusing on her career, and our dates became less frequent. At first, I thought it was just her career advancing. I was happy for her. But then I realized it wasn't just work. She was going out more with old friends I'd never met, attending vague dinners and outings she never fully explained. One time, when I asked about an evening out, she brushed it off casually. "It was just a normal dinner, don't overthink it." But I couldn't stop worrying. Something felt wrong, and every time she dismissed my concerns, the distance between us grew. I tried to ask more, tried to understand. But each time, she became defensive. "You questioning me like this is what's ruining our relationship," she would say before shutting down the conversation. But I'm a patient man. I don't jump to conclusions. I just needed more time to understand what was really happening. Despite my unease, I held on to the belief that love could fix everything, that if we just talked and understood each other, we could make things right again. But from that moment on, nothing was the same. Emily began spending even more time with men I didn't know, and her outings grew increasingly mysterious. She rarely shared anything with me beyond work updates, and I could feel her gaze shifting, no longer warm, no longer mine. What happened to us? I still don't fully understand. She was the woman I loved and trusted, yet her actions planted doubt in every corner of my mind. And then came the day when everything became crystal clear. I just had dinner with him. "If you can't accept that, then we should break up." I was stunned. The sense of betrayal wasn't just emotional, it felt like a complete disregard for the relationship we'd built. But I had nothing left to fight for. I no longer wanted to try changing her. So I simply said, "All right." She stood there, looking at me expectantly, as if she were waiting for resistance, for a plea. She thought I would break down, beg her to come back, suffer because she was leaving me. But that didn't happen. No emotion showed on my face, only the cold calmness I had forced myself to maintain for the past 2 years. "All right," I repeated, my voice steady and unchanged, a simple word carrying all the determination I needed. She hadn't expected me to react that way. I saw her eyes flicker through a wave of emotions, surprise, confusion, then anger. I didn't wait for her, didn't rush. I just stood there in silence, feeling something loosen inside me. For the first time, I felt like myself again, not someone's shadow. She walked out of the house quickly, and I didn't follow. I made no effort to stop her. After she left, I sat down on the living room chair and asked myself, why should I hold on to someone who doesn't love me anymore? The feeling hit me like a shock, but not a bad one. It was awakening. The next day, I was no longer Alex Carter, the man who lived in quiet resignation. I no longer wanted a life filled with fear and unworthiness. I was a man with value, someone who deserved to live his own life fully. She didn't know that the moment she stepped out the door, I began changing everything. I sold the car she loved, the one we bought together and used throughout the years. I didn't need it anymore. I didn't need anything she believed we built together. Next, I moved my assets into new accounts. I wasn't going to leave her any chance to manipulate me again. All she could do now was live with her choice, and wasn't that exactly what she wanted? Throughout the day, I ignored her calls and messages. I had decided that the relationship wasn't worth any more of my time or emotions. I deleted her numbers from my phone. Everything suddenly became clearer than ever. I needed to stand up and take back control of my life. What I felt wasn't regret or pain, it was liberation. A lightness I had never experienced before. I didn't understand why I endured for so long, but now I no longer cared. A few days later, Emily began texting me. She called relentlessly, each time leaving a different message. At first, she just asked where I was, whether we could meet. But when I didn't reply, her patience began to fade. "Alex, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please talk to me," she wrote one morning. I looked at my phone and laughed to myself. I couldn't believe she thought a short apology would bring me back. She had made her choices, and now she had to face the consequences. As days passed, Emily became increasingly desperate. She begged me to come back, sending long messages saying she couldn't live without me. But I couldn't keep being her shadow. She had chosen the life she thought would make her happy. Now she had to live with that choice. Then one day, I received a message from an old friend of hers. He sent me a photo and a few screenshots of conversations between Emily and another man, the one she went to dinner with that night. The messages didn't just confirm what I had felt all along, they were undeniable proof of her unfaithfulness. The photo showed Emily and the man sitting together at a restaurant, laughing comfortably. Nothing about their posture suggested they were just friends. And in the messages, she wrote him flirtatious, suggestive lines. When I received that evidence, I didn't feel anger or hatred. I felt sadness. Not the kind tied to rage, but the kind that comes from finally realizing she hadn't truly loved me for a long time. When I sent the proof to a few mutual friends, everything began to crumble. Emily, who once believed she controlled every situation, became the one everyone criticized. Rumors spread, and although she tried to maintain her image, people saw her differently. She hadn't only betrayed me, she had betrayed the trust of everyone who once believed in her. Her calls became more frantic, and even her friends looked at her with new eyes. She could hide things from me, but not from everyone else. Eventually, Emily came to see me again, and this time, her voice held no arrogance. "I was wrong, Alex. I need you. Please give me another chance, she said, her eyes brimming with tears. But I didn't yield. You had everything you wanted, I replied calmly. And now you have to live with your decisions. She stood there, unable to say anything else. What I felt wasn't pain or disappointment, it was peace. She chose her life, and I chose mine. That was the lesson I took away from everything that happened. In the end, I realized that keeping a relationship alive out of fear of losing it isn't real love. Love is respect and loyalty. Without those, everything becomes an empty performance, and I no longer wanted a role in that play. I found the freedom I deserved, and I will never go back.